I've been in jig design a lot of years with Strike King, and years ago we used to basically have one jig. You'd tie it on, you'd flip with it, you'd cast with it, and do everything. But now we've got a lot of jigs to choose from, and it is so important to use the correct jig for the correct application. It'll fish better, you'll actually catch more fish. And the Premier Pro model, we've got a head design that'll work good in grass, it'll work good in wood. Bottom line, it's a very snag-proof head design, which is what you need for fishing heavy cover. Obviously, we got a big heavy hook, heavy weed guard, and I also have a rattle on the Premier Pro model, which makes a lot of noise for the heavy cover. And if I'm flipping and pitching, it's the one I'm gonna go to. I love half ounce, that's probably my favorite weight. But if the water's cold and you're fishing real shallow, do not be afraid to downsize to a 3/8, or if you got heavy cover, obviously you can upgrade to a 3/4 or whatever. Now, if I get down on, say, structure, where I'm dragging a jig on pea gravel, clay points, places like that, then our traditional tour grade football jig that's got a big rounded head and a wide head profile. That's what you want for dragging a jig across the bottom. And you do not want a real big heavy hook, because now you're fishing it on lighter line, you're making longer casts, you're fishing it deeper. You want a hook that'll penetrate easy when you set the hook, with a bait a little further away from you. Now, we found over the years that if you're fishing vegetation, that brings another situation into play, especially fishing deep hydrilla and deals like that, or fishing structure that's got a lot of wood. A traditional football jig gets hung up a little bit more. The last couple of years, we brought a new bait out. It's called the Denny Brauer structure jig, and it's got a Cobra style head. And that Cobra style head right there will help it penetrate through the vegetation easier. It'll not only go in, but it'll come out a little bit easier than what a traditional football jig will. And then there's times you need to swim a jig. And when you're swimming a jig, you need a more pointed head design that'll come through vegetation and cover very easy on a horizontal type retrieve. And that's what that looks like right there. We've got a couple of versions. We've got a lighter wire hook, and then we got the Greg Hackney version that has the heavier hook. And with a swimming jig, it's basically like fishing a spinner bait, but it's a little more subtle presentation to the fish. So the bottom line is match the jig to the technique itself and match the trailer for the situation. There's all kinds of different trailers. We've got the bigger trailers like the DB crawl. We've got chunks. You've got the regular pork frog style chunks for cold water. But just analyze the scenario. Fishing, especially jig fishing, is common sense. Just look at the cover, look at the time of the year, look at the water temperature, and go, well, this is what I need to do, and pick your appropriate tool, and you will catch more fish.